Ashes of Earth. The sky was on fire. Commander Elias Rourke stood on the crumbling balcony of what was once the United Earth Defense Headquarters in Geneva. Above him, the heavens were streaked with the trails of falling orbital platforms and shattered defense satellites. The once distant Zovani fleet now hovered low in Earth's atmosphere, massive, angular constructs of black metal, glowing with green plasma light. They moved with the slow certainty of predators that had cornered their prey. In less than 6 days, Earth had fallen. "We lost Beijing last night," came the voice of Lieutenant Rummy over the emergency comms. Complete glassing. No survivors. Rourke clenched his jaw. Status of the Mars colony. Dark. Either captured or destroyed. Rourke didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Every military stronghold had been targeted in the first salvo. Global communications were fragmented. Resistance efforts were scattered, disorganized, and outgunned. The Zovani Empire hadn't come for diplomacy or negotiation. They had come to conquer, to extract, to enslave. And they were efficient. In Washington, the capital had been reduced to rubble. In Moscow, a 1,000-meter monolith now stood where Red Square used to be. Alien steel embedded with thousands of human corpses, displayed like a warning. This wasn't just invasion. It was domination. "Sir," Rummy said again, voice cracking, "we've got incoming at 20 clicks. Low altitude. No friendly signals." Rourke turned and looked over the ridgeline. A wedge-shaped Zovani dropship broke through the clouds, its engines screaming like a banshee. Beneath it, a line of smaller assault crafts followed, dispersing to sweep whatever remained of human command centers in Europe. He stepped away from the balcony and looked around the ruined war room. Only a handful of officers remained. Blood stained the floors, consoles sparked uselessly, and the global map, once glowing with defense zones, now flickered red across every continent. There would be no reinforcements. "Evacuate what's left," Rourke ordered quietly. "Use the tunnels under the mountain. Scatter into cells. No large groups. And you, sir." He strapped on the last functioning plasma rifle, modified from salvaged Zovani tech. "I'll stay and make noise. Give them something to chase. But go." They hesitated for only a second, then bolted. Rourke knelt beside the emergency console and activated a last-ditch encryption channel. Static hissed, then cleared into a faint blue light. The signal was weak, but it reached its target. A female voice crackled through. "This is Myra. Black Bastion received partial data burst. Elias, are you?" "Earth's gone," Rourke said flatly. "They took it. Every city. Every outpost." Silence. "We're scattered," he continued. "But not extinct. You've got survivors. Not many, but enough. Enough to keep a spark alive." Myra's voice turned grim. "I've begun Project Iron. The data cores survived. If we can get the AI fragments to the outer belt, do it. You'll have to lead from there. What about you?" Rourke looked toward the descending warships. "I'll buy time. But tell anyone listening, that we're not finished." A pause. "Then, we'll make them bleed for every inch." The transmission ended. The ground shook as the Zovani landed. Towers cracked. Wind howled through the broken walls. Rourke took a deep breath and walked outside. His weapon hummed to life, slung across his back like judgment. A squad of Zovani shock troopers disembarked from their ship, sleek and armored, their movements eerily synchronized. One raised its weapon and shouted something in their guttural tongue. Rourke didn't understand the words. He didn't need to. He raised his rifle and opened fire. In a crater far from the battlefield, a smuggled data pod pierced through the Martian atmosphere. It landed in silence. A tiny signal blinked alive within. Project Iron initiated. Phase 1, survival. Phase 2, retribution. Humanity wasn't done. The war had just begun. Sparks in the dark. Dr. Myra Chen wiped grease from her face with a trembling hand, staring at the fractured Zovani power core laid across her makeshift lab bench. The hum of generators echoed through the asteroid chamber, a deep bass thrum like a war drum in slow motion. Around her, a dozen engineers and technicians, mostly human, a few alien, worked in silence. This was Black Bastion. Hidden in the outer belt, it was humanity's last real stronghold, a mining colony turned resistance base. Supplies were thin, morale thinner, but they had something the Zorvani didn't expect. Hope and rage. Myra tapped a key on her cracked datapad. The stolen Zorvani AI schematic bloomed into view, an elegant tangle of quantum threads and neural loops. Beautiful in its complexity, dangerous in its arrogance. She looked at her lead engineer, a Valari named Tyrin, whose translucent blue skin pulsed with quiet concern. "It can be done," Myra said. "We can weaponize this AI." Tyrin blinked his gill eyes. "Repurpose the neural interface. That's madness." "No, it's human engineering." Before the Valari could argue, the overhead lights flickered. Alarms buzzed once, then cut off. Moments later, the main airlock opened with a heavy clang. Commander Rourke stepped through, dust-covered, blooded, but alive. Myra's breath caught. "You made it." "Barely," he rasped. "Geneva's gone. I held the fallback line as long as I could. Lost good people." She handed him a water flask. "You're the only command officer left that we know of." He drank deeply, then looked around. "How many humans do we have here?" "About 200. Another 70 are scattered across supply outposts, plus a few dozen allied aliens. Jurex fighters, Keller mechanics. They want blood. Then let's give them a cause." Rourke limped to the central holotable and brought up the galactic map. The Zorvani Empire spread across half the spiral arm, its core worlds glowing red. Myra noticed how his eyes locked onto Earth's faded blue marker, now gray, like a grave. "I want to hit back," he said. "Not just with raids. I want them to feel it. I want them to know we're still here." "We're outnumbered," Myra warned. "Outgunned, out-resourced, but not outsmarted." He turned to her. "Can you finish the AI virus?" She hesitated. "It'll take time, maybe 2 weeks. If we rush it, it might destabilize entire Zorvani fleets." "Good," Rourke said. "We'll use it to bring down their shipyards." A mechanic shouted from the far corner, "Incoming transmission." The room stilled. Rourke walked to the console. The screen shimmered, then locked onto an audio-only signal, encrypted, pulsing with background static. "This is Warlord Wyshar of the Jurex Union," the voice snarled. "We have seen the Earth's fall. The Zorvani enslaved our broods long ago. If you bring them pain, we bring you warriors." Rourke glanced at Myra. "Play the second message," she ordered. The next voice was smoother, more synthetic. "I am Keller, Overseer Unit 004. My kind served as architects of the Zorvani war machine. We know their weaknesses. Your rebellion is inefficient, but promising. We will aid you, for now." Rourke's mouth curled into something not quite a smile. "Looks like we've got ourselves a rebellion." "Then we better start acting like one," Myra said, turning back to the lab. "Give me those 2 weeks. I'll make you a ghost in their machines." 2 weeks later, a Zorvani cargo frigate drifted lazily through the edge of their home sector, unaware it was already compromised. The navigation AI glitched. Lights flickered, doors refused to open. And then, the reactor overloaded. The entire ship vanished in a silent blue pulse. Across the stars, more followed. Fuel depots, sensor arrays, long-range comms. One by one, the infrastructure of the Empire began to crumble, not from bombs, but from code. Human code. In a hidden chamber aboard Black Bastion, Rourke recorded a message. "This is Commander Elias Rourke of Earth. You took our planet. You burned our cities. Enslaved our people. You thought we would kneel." He leaned closer to the lens. "But humans don't kneel. We rise." He hit send. Across the galaxy, his voice echoed like a spark in a powder keg. From rebels to conquerors, the war had changed. What started as scattered survivors and desperate strikes had become something greater, organized, lethal, and growing. The Iron Pact, as the Resistance Alliance now called itself, had taken hold of 6 former Zorvani outposts, and human-led raids had turned from suicide missions into victories. Commander Elias Rourke stood aboard the Vigilant Dawn, a warship built from the bones of a captured Zorvani cruiser. Human engineering and alien tech fused into something ugly, efficient, and deadly. Status? He asked, eyes fixed on the stars outside the command deck. Dr. Myra Chen answered from the central terminal. The virus has crippled comms across Sector 12. Their fleets can't coordinate. Shipyards are in chaos. It's working. And the people? Slaves on Dalmec rebelled 3 days ago, she said. We backed them up. That colony's ours now. Rourke allowed himself a breath. Not relief, just acknowledgement. Across the deck, a new voice spoke, harsh, guttural, but precise. Zorvani forces will adapt, said Sarith Val, former admiral of the Zorvani Navy, now defector. Her skin was pale gold, her eyes like molten metal. They will centralize command, reinforce the throne's sectors. You must strike faster, harder. Rourke didn't trust her, not entirely, but after Sarith's betrayal by her own empire, left for dead after refusing to massacre a civilian world, she had given them intel that saved thousands. How do we break them? He asked. You target their pride, she said. HFY Prime. It's a symbol, not strategic, cultural. Bombarding it will do nothing. Then we take it. Myra looked up. That's suicide. No, Rourke said. That's war. Operation Emberfall launched 5 days later. A strike team of iron-packed ships, Durex raiders, human cruisers, Keller drone pods, jumped into orbit around HFY Prime. The Zorvani were caught mid-festival, celebrating the Age of Dominion. Their shields were down. Their arrogance, exposed. The Vigilant Dawn led the charge. Rourke watched as fighter wings dive through the atmosphere, striking military compounds, power grids, and control centers. But this time, they didn't burn cities. They didn't massacre civilians. Instead, they hacked the capital's planetary network. Myra had modified the AI virus. This version didn't destroy. It showed footage of Earth's fall, enslaved children on Mars, executions in orbit, humanity's resistance, Zorvani war crimes. All of it, broadcast live to every screen on HFY Prime. And the people saw. Riots broke out within hours. Garrisons turned on their officers. Civilians swarmed government buildings. The Empire's core began to crack, not from fire, but from truth. Underscore 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 underscore. Back aboard the Vigilant Dawn, Rourke stood before the galactic map, now marked with systems turning neutral or joining the Iron Pact. A victory, but not a final one. This won't hold, Myra warned. We took a city, not the Empire. No, Rourke said, his voice low. But now, we've taken their myth. The Zorvani aren't gods anymore. They bleed. Sarith Val nodded slowly. They will retreat. Consolidate everything around Arcalvan. The throne world. Then that's our target. Myra stared. You're serious. Always. Hours later, a message pulsed across rebel comms, short and final. Next target, Arcalvan. Endgame begins. The reaction was immediate. Cheers from the freed, vows from the enslaved, silence from the frightened. Not everyone believed they could win, but enough did. And that was enough. Far above in deep space, a Zorvani noble watched the footage in silence. For centuries, the Empire had ruled through fear. Now they saw a human commander rally aliens who once feared each other. They saw ships made of scrap and stolen tech disable elite Zorvani fleets. They saw an empire shake, not from fleets, but from the will of a species they'd called primitive. The noble turned off the screen. They are not rebels anymore, he whispered. They're becoming conquerors. The Empire falls. The Iron-packed fleet emerged from hyperspace like a blade drawn across the sky. Commander Elias Rourke stood at the command deck of the Vigilant Dawn, staring at the Zorvani throne world, Arcalvan, as it floated below, massive, regal, fortified. Every moon bristled with orbital cannons. Defense fleets filled the void. This was the heart of the Empire. and they were going to break it. Enemy formation detected, reported Myra from her terminal. 2 dreadnoughts, 5 heavy cruisers, and a swarm of interceptors, all converging on our position. Perfect, Rourke replied. They think we came for a frontal assault. Sareth Val stepped forward, her golden skin gleaming beneath the red battle lights. You didn't. Rourke smirked. Of course not. Below them, a second wave of iron-packed ships dropped out of hyperspace. Durex boarding corvettes, Keller virus drones, and repurposed Zorvani stealth ships. But the real payload wasn't steel or plasma. It was Myra's upgraded AI virus, now armed with full override protocols. She gave a curt nod. Uploading virus, now. Across Calvin's orbital grid, systems began to fail. Cannons shut down mid-charge. Shields flickered. Interceptor swarms broke formation. Communications scrambled with screeching feedback. The Zorvani command structure, so dependent on centralized AI, crumbled within seconds. And that's when the Iron Pact hit them. The battle was chaos. Human fighters danced through Zorvani formations, weaving between dead satellites and exploding frigates. Keller assault bots breached enemy hangars from within. Sareth Val led the boarding of the Emperor's Blade, a Zorvani dreadnought, fighting her former comrades room by room. On the ground, rebel cells, long buried beneath the cities of Calvin, rose up. Civilians flooded the streets, not in panic, but in fury. Years of subjugation boiled over in one coordinated uprising. From orbit, Rourke watched as the planet burned, not in devastation, but in revolution. Direct line to Imperial Palace open, Myra said. Broadcast is live. Rourke stepped in front of the camera. His face was blooded, uniform torn, but his voice was calm. This is Commander Elias Rourke, of Earth. You took our planet. You enslaved our people. You burned our skies. And you thought we would die quietly. He paused. But humanity doesn't die on its knees. We die standing. And sometimes, we win. He cut the feed. Moments later, the vigilant dawn descended through the clouds toward the palace complex. They landed amid rubble and resistance fire. Rourke, Sareth Val, Myra, and a team of soldiers advanced through shattered halls, storming the heart of Zorvani power. Bodies lay scattered. Imperial guards, rebels, civilians who had finally fought back. Inside the throne chamber, the Zorvani Emperor sat slumped on his obsidian throne, surrounded by shattered screens and broken symbols of a fading empire. His once glorious robes were torn. His guards, gone. He looked at Rourke not with fear, but disbelief. The human, he rasped. Rourke raised his rifle. That's right. You were supposed to be prey. Rourke stepped closer, lowering his weapon. We were, until you made us wolves. He turned to Myra. Do it. Myra activated a beacon. Moments later, iron-packed ships in orbit transmitted a new signal to the galactic network, the fall of the Zorvani throne world. Not one Zorvani channel interrupted it. The Empire had collapsed. Weeks later, beneath the broken sky of Earth, survivors gathered. The cities were ruins, but life returned. Soil tilled, power restored. Flags of resistance became symbols of unity. The Iron Pact transitioned into a council of equals. Humanity, once scattered, now stood among the stars, not as vassals, but as leaders. Commander Elias Rourke stood where New York once rose, overlooking a field of saplings. He held a seed in his hand, an olive tree. Not the first to be planted, hey, but one of the most symbolic. Myra stood beside him. The reconstruction teams are expanding, and Sareth says even the old noble houses are swearing loyalty to the new order. Rourke smiled faintly. We didn't just win. We changed everything. They planted the tree in silence. The camera drones captured the moment, broadcasting across the former empire. A single caption ran beneath the image. They took our planet. We took their empire. And now, we plant something better.